I watched a lot of years of my mom going through a lot of pain. That was probably my biggest life trial.
Hello, this is Basil Babychan, a neoclassical musician with music that carries melodic messages. Messengers is my video series that is dedicated to everyday heroes amongst us. Through their life experiences, they are beacons of hope and inspiration for us all. Now, if you like what I do and want to watch more of these, or melodic messages, or simply listen to neoclassical music, hit that like button and subscribe to my channel. Now, with that out of the way, let's get into the next video.
Good afternoon to you, Shere, and well, good evening to me. Thanks for joining me in the first of hopefully many series of real life, as I would call them, warriors, winners, and survivors. So, Shere, I know you as you know me through Instagram, and we came across when we collaborated on one of my tracks in which you played a beautiful flute rendition. And thank you for that amazing collaboration. And so what I know is you're a flautist. I know of late you've also picked up the piccolo, and I saw a few other instruments in your repertoire. Can you tell me something more, which I don't know you know of?
Well, it's always hard to know exactly where to start. But I think what has defined me as a musician is my whole life, and it's been 65 years, So there's been a lot of trials and tribulations which have colored the music that it's what I do. Is I sing from my heart, but it's those life experiences, all of them pulled together. And I'm a good listener, and so from a very young age, I started listening to music. And so, and I think I did that partly because, my life didn't start easy. When I was 6, my dad was killed in a plane crash, and my mom was left to raise 3 kids. And my Nana lived with us, but it was really difficult. And so I watched a lot of years of my mom going through a lot of pain. And so music was my place to go to. It was my escape. And so what I did was I picked up first the recorder, but actually I went straight to the guitar. So it was like recorder in school, then the guitar. Fell in love with the guitar, was crazy nuts over the Beatles. So I was one of these 1960s little kids with the guitar sitting on the porch, playing Yesterday and being in love with Paul McCartney, and all that kind of stuff. So by the time I got to school, to secondary school, where we had to take up instruments in band, I chose the flute. And it was a big change from guitar, but the flute was pretty easy for me, like right off the start. I taught myself, I didn't take lessons, and what I noticed with it was I could carry it around. It was so easy. Performed in some, big bands in my city where I lived, and it was fun. It was a lot of fun. And then I completely dropped the flute. It was like, I'm finished high school. I don't know what happened, but I think I just got, now I want to be a flight attendant. I'm now I want to see the world and I want to have fun. So I became a flight attendant, and not too many years after that, I became a mom. And so at the age of 25, I started motherhood.
Yeah.
And I didn't finish motherhood in terms of having children until I was 40. So I had 7 children, one of which passed away just after she was born. So that was that was probably my biggest life trial.
Wow.
Yeah. But during that time, music and God, faith, especially my faith, helped me to get through that extremely difficult time, because I was a mom of 5 children and my 6th child died, you know. So I needed to be strong for the 5 children and, of course, my husband. So my faith it helped me to be like a rock. And but my music was something separate from meeting the needs of the 5 children and trying to keep the home together. My music was something that always made me feel like, oh, I can go there. It's like I can go to heaven. You know, I'm singing to God, I'm singing to the Lord, I'm singing to my daughter. And that's what it became. And I went back to work, and I went back to being a flight attendant. So I thought music was a big part of me now, so I'm going to take my flute to the skies. So 9/11 hit, and I was flying that day. I was the lead flight attendant. I got called into the flight deck, and I was told by the pilots that the Twin Towers had been hit, and we've got a whole lot of passengers in the back, and we have to divert, and you can't tell them. We didn't have TVs on board at that time, but once again, this huge thing hit me, you know, and I just went right back into my faith. I was like, oh God, this is horrific, you know, like, where are we going? And I went back to my jump seat and held myself together with God's help. And, you know, we landed, and we were fine. And, you know, once again, God helped me to get through that time. My family didn't even know where I was at the time. They heard that these planes had crashed into the towers. My kids, my family didn't know where I was. Just after that experience, I really took my flute to the airports and to the skies. And I played Amazing Grace in the air. I played hymns in the sky. And I did it to calm passengers. And then it turned into something fun. And then sometimes in the air, you'd have a celebrity like Jackie Jackson, and I brought out my flute for Jackie Jackson and started playing. And, you know, sometimes you just have someone that was really in need, that needed that ministry. And then there were other moments up in the air where we just had the most funny experiences, you know. And so the flute has been, for me, it's like I used to call that my melodies above the clouds, because it was so unique and so different. So WestJet formally called me their flute attendant. I retired in 2013, and then from there, I said on my last, actually there's a video of me on my last day. It's on my YouTube, and it's my last day at work, and I'm just opening the doors of the airplane. Someone videotaped it. They said, "What are you going to do, Shere?" I said, "I'm going to play music. I'm going to take my music and go and fly." So I'm now flying in a different way. I've got wings. God has given me this skill to improvise. It's a gift that I don't take for granted. One of the people that really inspired me was Yanni. Of course, Yanni, I'm a big Yanni fan. Pedro Eustache, Lisa Gerard, Hans Zimmer. Like, when a composer contacts me and they say, "Shere, what can you do with this?" And I'm like, "I don't know, but I'll give it a go." And I just got a really challenging piece this past week that someone gave me, and I was like, that's really hard. Music and my flutes is where it just takes me away from all the pain and suffering that is in this world. And last year when I was in the car accident and I had a spinal fracture, I really wasn't sure if I'd be able to play the flute again. And so with that, I just thought, okay, what can I do? Because right now I can't play. So once again, listen, and listen. So it's like, if I can't play, then that's what I'll do. I'll feed my spirit with good music. I'll just keep saturating it.
Right. Quite a powerful story, Shere. I mean, it's been an incredible journey that you've gone through with the. I'm just trying to make some mental notes, and every time I thought I had a follow-up question, you hit me with another one, and then so I'm just trying to go back, and I'm going to pick up some notes. You've been through. You mentioned at a very young age, at the age of 6, if I'm not mistaken, that you lost your father. Am I right? Yeah. And how did you get into music? Do you have family or friends who are into music, or how is it that you actually got into the guitar and later on the flute?
I think it just in many ways I think it happened organically, because I was born in '56, and the Beatles kind of lit up the world in the early '60s. So around the age of 6, even when my dad was killed, around that time, whatever TV we had, the Ed Sullivan Show, they were a sensation. And what it was I think it was a very organic process. I think I just gravitated to that as an escape. The pain. My dad was flying, and he had a passenger with him, and they were both killed. And so it devastated 2 families. It wasn't just my dad, it was also his friend. And so it was, I think out of that pain, that's where my desire to find peace and comfort in music. Daddy used to always take me flying. And my mom was a pilot too. She was the first female pilot in this little town where we lived. And so my tie to aviation was very, very deep. And I said to my mom that I'd like to be a flight attendant on big jets. I don't want to ever go on a small plane ever again. So I felt when Mom started taking us as children, she started saving money after Dad was killed, and she saved a lot of money so that we could travel, because she herself wanted to get away from the pain. And so we traveled a lot. Our first trips was, to England, actually, in the 60s, the early 60s. So I saw the flight attendants back then. So I was like, okay, that's it. That's what I'd like to do. But what's really very, very interesting about all this is that my son chose the career of aviation, and he had to start on small airplanes.
Okay.
So his first flight and his first few flights was difficult for me because it was a small plane. But I have to tell you, about 15 years ago, I actually know it wasn't 15 years ago, but it was just maybe about 10. My mom, I'm losing track here. Anyhow, when my mom turned 90, we said, Mom, you need to fly an airplane again. And so what happened was my son and my mom, at the age of 90, did a co-flight together with me as a passenger and my husband as a passenger in the back seat. And that was the first time I'd been in a small plane since my dad was killed.
Like one more?
Yay!
Did this experience help light your own fire? What did you find most uplifting? Put that in the comments below. Do you have an inspirational story to share? Get in touch. There's a link in this description. I am Basil Babychan, a musician, manager, and believer. If you like what I do and want to watch more of these, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to my channel. Keep that fire burning, and see you on the next one.